There's new news this week about Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt, and I just wanted to give my two bits, I guess. I am astounded every time a new piece of information is revealed in the press. I am in more and more shock. I can't believe. This week we found out that Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were using I guess we will call it a poultice. And this was to put on open wounds. And you might be wondering, what could they possibly use? How about cayenne pepper and honey mixed together? Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds simply awful. And quite frankly, I keep on thinking I can't be more shocked, and then I am. Unbelievable. I just can't. And now to think that Ruby is claiming mental illness. Both Ruby and Jodi have had health issues. Maybe we should give them a little poultice. They could take it with a spoon. Okay, no, that wasn't very good. The hearing for Ruby Franke and her child custody case keeps on being on the same day. And the child custody case was postponed, and the hearing, the child custody case, it still has not been ruled on, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. But the other case just gets postponed because there's so much evidence that they haven't had time to go through it all. And I think, wow, based on all the evidence that we already know, it's going to be interesting when we see what else there is. But I will say this. I went past Ruby Franke's house. I wanted to get a feel for where she was. Where was this?
I went into the cul-de-sac and I started driving. Now, this is not Ruby's house, but there's another house being built. And as you can see, it is a beautiful neighborhood. Now, you'll know when we get to Ruby's house when you see a white van, that 8 passengers van that we all have gotten used to. Here it is. This is the Franke house, and it didn't appear that anyone was there. It was definitely quiet and all lights out. But look at this neighborhood. These homes are very nice and kept up. And as I was saying before, definitely as I'm driving along and I'm filming, there was a lot of attention looking at me. One neighbor in particular seemed to be less than happy, and I'm sure it's just awful. I mean, imagine all the people who are paying attention to this neighborhood, and I'm sure that would get old.
As I went by, I noticed that a lot of the neighbors really are paying attention to every car that drives by. And one neighbor in particular, it's interesting to think that they went all these years with possibly Ruby, different times when Ruby would be gone, leaving the children there unattended. And I'm in shock that not more was done. Now, I know the neighbors were calling in, and I know the police drove by and said, well, couldn't see anything really wrong. I don't know. I'm just starting to question whether something should have been done earlier. I mean, we all say this, something should have been done earlier. But so during the child custody hearing, it was proposed that it become a closed hearing so that no one outside of those immediate people who need to be there would be able to see it. And because of the young children. The only problem with that is 2 of Ruby Franke's children are over 18. So they wouldn't be able to see the hearing, and her oldest daughter has been going to the hearings. So basically, the judge asked her and her attorney to submit paperwork saying what they would like to see happen. Do they want the hearing closed? Do they want it open to the public? Do they want it closed? But they get to see, I don't know. We don't know what exactly Sherry wants, but it is interesting because we've been contemplating, how much of this did Kevin know about? And apparently now his lawyer is saying now it's been 14 months since he was able to, like since he was living at the home.
And the thing that is just astounding to me is based on Kevin's claims, they were manipulated by Jodi. What do you think?
The more I've said this before and I'll say it again, I think that Jodi is in the middle of all this, and I describe her as an onion with an octopus inside. The more layers you peel back about Jodi's life and connections, every time you peel back a layer, an octopus tentacle comes springing out. There is a lot to be told. This is a fascinating and tragic event.
The fact that Jodi was supposedly a therapist for the Franke family, and then also a business partner with Ruby. There are so many levels of wrong in that. You can't be a therapist with your business partner. It's ethically not good. And if Ruby really has mental illness, will all of this come back to be Jodi's? Like, will Jodi be responsible for it all? This is Kevin as he's going out of the courthouse for the child custody hearing. And it's shocking to me to think that now it's been 14 months that he's been doing as Ruby suggests. And
He hasn't seen his children, but I did notice, like, when he is going out of the courtroom, he has his attorney, the children have their attorney, Sherry has her attorney, but Sherry is definitely not sitting with her dad. So I still think that there is some explaining that he needs to do because she obviously knows more than the rest of us do. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. As the hearings come about, I'll see if I can be there, but I don't blame the court if they close this hearing because those poor children are being thrown under the bus by their own mother and who knows what else. So, for the sake of them, I kind of hope it is closed. But we'll see. I think about whether or not Ruby's going to get bail and whether Jodi is going to get bail. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Well, I'll let you know when I get more information. See ya.